I don't believe what I just saw.
This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
I believe in miracles. Yes!
Is this the dagger?
All right, let's start. Good? I think so, yeah.
Okay. Frankie, we're rolling, right?
Rolling.
Okay.
Was that me you were impersonating?
No.
Oh,
I
okay.
was just doing a general, like, we're all, nobody cares. I don't do impersonations.
Not today.
I don't do characters.
Okay. Ready?
I think so.
It's going to be great. September 18th. Today and today only. The Rock sets a record in stone. The Rams come home again. Arnie wins for one last time. CONCACAF becomes the longest anagram in sports. A historically unpopular MLB franchise sets a new low. Johnny U rewrites the record book. Jake Gyllenhaal climbs to a box office peak. And a few other sports stories you will absolutely want to stay tuned to with at this episode of This Day in Sports. I kicked it. I had it. I was really happy about my speed.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I had good pace.
No pauses.
And then I got to stay tuned for it. I thought, is that right?
Yeah.
And then I questioned myself.
And then away it went. Well,
keep rolling. Frank, just keep rolling.
let's do one take. One take.
Yeah,
You got to be transparent. You got to be honest.
And you're really admitting you're not on stage today.
No.
That's right.
That's right. This is freewheeling.
Did you get
live to tape
in your own head? Like, did you feel where you're like, this is going well? Because I was like, this is.
I
going.
did. See, that's exactly when it all goes wrong, too, is
Yeah.
when you have that moment of, I'm really cooking right now.
I think CONCACAF
CONCACAF
was a great point for you. That you got that out perfectly.
Nailed it.
And then
fell apart on the
preposition. And then
preposition.
it did fall apart. I'll tell you one thing. If you feel like you're going to fall apart, great chance to get yourself a haircut.
I did
get
it
yourself
just to
a
help him
shave.
tie that
Thank
in.
you very much.
Put yourself back together.
Head on down. Yeah, thank you. Head on down to Cabin Barber and Gentleman Supply. We, of course, are proud to have Cabin Barber and Gentleman Supply on board as our sponsor. We are there right now in the Port Credit location. There is also a location at Queens Quay and, of course, Union Station. And those are 3 locations to check out. This is a great chance to get yourself a beautiful haircut. Shave down that beard that's getting unruly. End of the summer. Got to get back to work, you guys. Got to get back to work. Got to get a haircut.
Yep.
Got to get that beard down. Got to pick up a cigar cutter because you're going to smoke a cigar because you're going to feel like a champ as soon as you roll out of here. Get a cut, get a shave, get a ton of compliments from Cabin. You got that Cabin Fresh look. For more, check out cabinforlife.ca.
See, you didn't kick it.
No, but often I do.
I was kind of hoping you would. I was like, this is pretty straightforward.
Out of a little collegial thing.
Yeah. No, we can't afford 2 in a row.
Somebody has to be excellent on this show.
That's right. And the whole idea, of course, is that we're going to explore September 18th. Mike's given us the preview. Matt, why don't you jump in with more details on something that happened on September 18th?
Okay, September 18th, 1983, the New Orleans Saints recorded their first overtime win in franchise history. They beat the Bears 34-31 at the Superdome. What's amazing about this was the Saints' 18th NFL season, and this was their first overtime win.
Wow.
Despite losing this game, however, Chicago running back Walter Payton had 28 carries for 161 rushing yards and a TD, 2 receptions for 27 yards, and he threw for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. Walter Payton threw for 2 touchdowns in the game. The game was ultimately won on a 41-yard field goal by Morton Anderson.
That's a tough plane ride home for Walter.
Yeah. What more could he have done?
What the hell am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
We're playing the Saints.
Yeah.
And I can't. Anyway. All right.
What do you got, Mike?
1994, Ken Burns' documentary Baseball premiered on PBS today. It's about baseball, in case you wondered from the title. The 9-part series became one of the most iconic programs in the station's history. It was the 9th documentary film of Burns' career, and it won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Documentary. It featured interviews with a wide array of celebrities, including Billy Crystal, George Will, Doris Kearns Goodwin, Mario Cuomo. It also featured candid discussions with legendary players like Mickey Mantle, Pedro Martinez, Buck O'Neill, and Hank Aaron, and it used famous actors like Ed Harris, John Cusack, Jason Robards, Gregory Hines, Paul Newman, Ossie Davis, and Eli Wallach as narrators to portray famous baseball icons.
Incredible documentary, obviously. Got it on VHS.
That's right.
I was going to say.
And then eventually got it on DVD.
I feel like there's a certain vintage of sports fan that has that on DVD or VHS
My,
somewhere in their garage or basement. Or
my God, my girlfriend at the time, she bought me that for Christmas, and it was like everything else just.
I'm gonna
didn't
marry
care.
this
Yeah,
woman.
yeah, and I didn't.
It's good. It's only VHS.
Question for you about
yeah.
the favorite inning.
I'd probably say like the 50s, all the one, the 1950s, the 1950s, like the capital of baseball, I think it's called. That's all the New York
with all
stuff.
the mantle and stuff.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite.
pretty good.
I love though the opening for Pete Rose when they play Radar of Love.
I don't remember that.
Pete
yeah.
Rose says he would run through hell in a gasoline suit to play baseball, and by the way he played, he meant it.
Golden earring kicks in.
That was fantastic. But I
Everyone under the age of 50 just turned this off.
oh, absolutely. But
What the hell are those guys talking?
But yeah, the capital of baseball is great, like 1950s in New
that is
York.
good.
A lot of Mickey Mantle and stuff like that, and of course now this is interesting because the voiceover of Ed Harris, who is rumored to be the voice of Field of Dreams. If you build it, he will come.
Oh, really?
That is, it's an uncredited role, but they've never actually fully revealed who it was. But the rumor is Ed Harris is the voice of.
Well, his wife is in Field of Dreams,
Yeah.
so that kind of makes sense. Maybe he was around, and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah, they've never fully confirmed it, but that's the hot rumor is that it's
Okay.
Ed Harris's voice.
very cool. I didn't know that."
Now I'm gone from rumor to fact.
Yeah,
In 1899, a tennis tournament known as the Cincinnati Open began play. It is the longest running tennis tournament in the United States and the third largest in the country. Still played today as the Cincinnati Masters. In 2023, the winner of the event took home just under $2.8 million in prize money. It has been won the most frequently by Roger Federer, who won it 7 times. So Cincinnati Open, I don't think people know this, that it was one of it is the longest running tournament still going on. Had no idea. Until I saw this fact.
Cincinnati sounds like a chess move.
it's a weird thing.
It does.
They cover it every year, and you always think, "Why is that tournament?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why is that getting so much PR?" But now
There
you
it
know
is.
it's because it's been around for 125 years.
Matt.
September 18th. Like I was
I
going
was
to
wondering
forget.
why
it.
you're wearing the Expos hat.
Don't
Is this the
dawdle.
reason?
Oh, it is. It
Nice.
is. 1984. During an 7-4 Expos win over the Cardinals in St. Louis, Montreal outfielder Tim Raines stole 4 bases, making him the first ever player to steal at least 70 bases in 4 consecutive seasons. Vince Coleman accomplished the feat a few years later. Amazingly, Ricky Henderson never did it. Ricky Henderson never stole 70 bases in 4 consecutive seasons.
You pull that off, and it takes forever to get into the Hall of Fame.
It's kind of a cherry-picked stat, but
Yeah.
still kind of interesting,
Sure.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did in 2 seasons. Over 2 seasons, he did steal 238 at his peak. Which is crazy.
Yeah, it is. 1961, at a meeting in Mexico City, CONCACAF was officially formed. With its headquarters now officially located in Miami, it is the governing body for football in 41 countries in North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Its primary function is to organize competitions for national teams and clubs and conduct World Cup qualification tournaments.
And allegedly, take some cash on the side.
Well,
Actually,
I didn't want to say anything, but we could all feel it in the air.
Allegedly, okay?
Allegedly.
No.
they were claiming it in the documentary.
They sure were.
They sure are,
were, yeah. 1988, September 18th, 1988, Arnold Palmer won his first professional tournament at the Crest-Star Classic on the PGA Champions Tour at the Hermitage Country Club in Richmond, Virginia. You like this one? Hermitage.
Why are you saying
Am I saying things weird? Sure. The 59-year-old legend won by 4 shots and shot a 2-under par 70 on the final day of his first win in over 3 years. He retired with 62 PGA Tournament wins and 10 more on the Champions Tour. Arnold Palmer also invented, of course, iced tea and lemonade. Here it is.
Yeah, I like that.
How do you guys say Hermitage? Hermitage? Sabotage.
Hermitage.
I'm like, shit, I'm fucking Shatner over here. Hermitage.
Sabotage.
Hermitage Country Club.
I think it just felt like as you were getting to these words, it was the first time.
Fancy
you were-
words?
Yeah.
Can't, too fancy. Okay. You know what? Speaking of fancy, Matt.
In 2015, on September 18th, Everest, the movie that told the true story.
Wow. That's
Not the mountain, but the movie.
It's in italics.
Thank you.
Everest,
Thank
a
you.
movie that
Sorry.
told the true story of the 1996 Mount Everest disaster and focused on the survival attempts of 2 expedition groups. This was released in U.S. theaters on this day. It starred Jake Gyllenhaal, Josh Brolin, Robin Wright, and Keira Knightley as climbers attempting to descend Mount Everest during a blizzard that ultimately killed 8 people.
Spoiler alert.
Aye. The movie currently has a 73% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and was a commercial success, taking in over $200 million on a $55 million budget. And it also opened the Venice Film Festival earlier that month.
Wow, it seems like just a disaster movie that, a lot of people would see, but then it's a Venice Film Festival?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
A little bit more classy than I thought it
Well, a
was
lot
gonna
of
be.
big names in the.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember it. Do you guys remember seeing this?
I don't
I
think I've seen
kind of remember it, but if you'd said who was in it, I probably would have struggled. I do remember it coming out a little bit,
Trailer
but I
was
didn't know.
pretty- The trailer was pretty cool.
Also don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay, Frank remembers it.
Also don't know. Didn't know it made that much money. I didn't think it was that
I
successful.
didn't either. It kind of passed me by. But 2016, after 22 years of no NFL in the second largest market in the United States, the Rams returned to Los Angeles, playing their first home game after returning from St. Louis. They defeated the Seattle Seahawks 9-3 in front of 91,000 fans at LA's Memorial Coliseum. Their only points were on 3 Greg Zuerlein field goals. Boy, that's a scintillating game.
Oh.
Led by rookies Todd Gurley and Jared Goff, the Rams won just 4 games in their welcome back season and had a minus 170 point differential that year. However, a few years later, as we know, they turned around and won a Super Bowl.
Won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
in
Amazing to
new
think the
digs.
NFL did not have a team in Los Angeles for 22 years.
It's really, really is crazy.
You kind of like, for a league that is so money driven,
Yeah.
I kind of can't wrap my head around that they were like in St. Louis,
Yeah.
but not LA.
And now they have 2.
And now they have 2.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
hated that they left San Diego. I hated the
Yeah.
Chargers left
I
San
do
Diego.
too. I can't believe it. I can't believe there's
The
not a
Rams
team in San
moving
Diego
back
now.
around. Okay, great, right?
Sure.
But, geez, no team in San Diego. That stinks.
And San Diego is not a small city either. Like, there's almost 2 million people in San Diego.
Yeah. And I hate that. I really hate that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
1930, September 18, 1930, Yankees pitcher Red Ruffing hit 2 home runs and threw 7 innings as New York defeated the Browns at St. Louis Sportsman's Park in front of just 600 fans for a Thursday afternoon game. The Browns finished in 6th place in the American League standings that year, but were dead last in attendance, drawing just over 150 fans in 77 home games. That averages out to less than 2,000 per game. In 1935, they bottomed out, drawing just 80,922 fans for the entire season. Amazingly, they stayed in St. Louis for almost 20 more years after that, before moving to Baltimore and becoming the Orioles. In over 50 seasons in St. Louis, the Browns reached the playoffs just once, losing the 1944 World Series to, who else? The St. Louis Cardinals.
Ooh,
Yep.
extra burn.
Yeah, the Browns had some decent players, not a lot. I mean,
Nope.
but
80,000 fans for 77 home games.
and that they're still there. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't move.
Nope.
It took forever to get going.
Nope. St. Louis is taking a beating on this podcast today.
Good.
Oh my gosh. 2011. In just his second NFL game, Panthers QB Cam Newton breaks his own record for the most passing yards in a game by a rookie quarterback when he throws for 432 yards during a 30-23 loss to Green Bay and Charlotte. In his first NFL game a week earlier, Newton had thrown for 422 yards and 2 TDs in a loss to Arizona. That season, Newton was named the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year as he became the first quarterback to throw for over 4,000 yards in a season and set the NFL quarterback record with 14 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
The first rookie quarterback
Yes,
to
I
throw
was just
for
gonna
over
say, yeah.
4,000.
Yep.
Sorry, I was like reading that thing. But what an amazing season. Like, that's incredible.
What do you guys land on Cam Newton? Dead silence.
Silence.
Dead silence.
I don't know.
He's a hard. He was a hard guy to like.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much debate about his ability. And I mean, I know the Super Bowl memory is of him not diving for that fumble, and
Or how about not talking to the press and being
yes,
a baby about
he
it?
did not handle himself
Yeah.
well. I don't think his talent is deniable, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have seasons like that as
No.
a rookie very often.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not an easy guy to like.
Yeah.
Some guys are.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when he becomes eligible for the Hall of Fame.
That's
Like,
what I'm wondering.
you know,
I'm wondering. I think he's definitely got to. I think he.
I think he has a case.
Yeah.
He's not going to win it on goodwill.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe as a baseball player, he'd have trouble because of the writers being such wieners about
Yeah.
personality and things like that. But I think
Yeah.
football could be.
Might take him a
not a
little
problem.
while, but
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I didn't. Those numbers are pretty impressive. There's no getting
Amazing.
around it. And
Exciting player to watch for sure.
yeah, and the
Love it he
Panthers
played.
are nowhere without him for several years.
Yeah, and then that 2015 season as well was just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know him.
No, I know. Well, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, when you
know?
play in Carolina, and it's a smaller market in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. But I don't know. I have no idea how. I don't know how the press generally feels, but I just remember the Super Bowl being.
and
just
he
such
was,
a bad
and
moment.
he there was some negative stuff about him in college too, right?
Yeah.
He had played at Auburn, but there was allegations he played for money there, and like there was
Yeah.
lots of he left Florida State too, or Florida, one or the other, and
Yeah.
he hasn't always handled stuff great,
Yeah.
but still a great player.
Yeah,
I
fantastic
think
player.
most
Oh my
teams
god.
would have taken him as their quarterback for a number of years.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
1946, in front of 55,000 fans at Yankee Stadium, Joe Louis knocked out local hero Tammy Morello, nicknamed the Bronx Barkeep, in just 2 minutes and 9 seconds.
Fantastic.
Louis was 32 years old at the time, and Moriello was just 23, but it made no difference. It was the 32nd consecutive win of Lewis's career and his 23rd consecutive heavyweight title defense, which is hard to even fathom. His unbeaten streak lasted another 4 years. And on this same date, September 18th, 1953, The Joe Louis Story, a film starring Coley Wallace as Joe Louis, premiered in movie theaters around the United States. Big day for Joe Louis.
Big day for Joe Louis. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this fast forward to 2004? UCLA running back Maurice Drew, later known as NFL career as Maurice Jones-Drew, set a school record by rushing for 322 yards and 5 touchdowns during a 37-31 Bruins victory over Washington. By halftime, he had 235 yards and just 13 carries. These are things that are possible in college.
Yeah.
Yes.
Much
Yeah.
more often, obviously, than in the NFL
Yes.
because your competition's a little different. But you know what I always remember about Maurice Jones-Drew? Obviously, really good running back, guy who would drafted really high all the time in fantasy football. And he was one of the first players I remember saying he actually played fantasy football.
Yes.
He was big. And I think that's fine when he left, because when he left football, immediately he was snapped up by everybody wanting to get him into like being a broadcaster, but also talking about fantasy football because he was savvy to it. Now that's getting to be a pretty blurry line now. And then
say
I can
the
tell
very
you,
least,
like, for
yes.
sure, definitely the NHL for sure is saying to the guys, do not gamble on the NHL. Do not gamble at all.
Right.
And that's not, but I remember that being very fast and loose and weird in the NFL for a blip of time for sure, where guys were talking about fantasy football when they were playing and they were talking about themselves being drafted and all stuff. I thought that was really weird, but he was definitely one of the first guys
I'm
to
in a
talk about
Yahoo free league. It's no big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
Are they saying don't be in a league with your friends? Like, don't even be in a friend league?
Why?
No league?
Why?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great point.
Yeah.
Like, why even bother?
Yeah.
There's too many
What are you
problems.
gonna gain? Yeah.
There's too many. Exactly. There's not enough to gain, and there's everything to lose.
Yeah.
And just you're putting yourself out to be susceptible to a lot of different problems there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true for anybody in fantasy. Why?
Well, yeah. Why do it? Exactly.
Just a lot of
exactly.
heartache.
They
It's
don't have
just
the empty, hollow lives we do.
yeah. I think the temptation to lead to more gambling is just a bigger problem,
Yeah.
even if it is for free. Any kind of gambling on yourself is tough.
And I'm not picking on fantasy.
No,
But
you had that same memory that he was one of the first guys to talk about it.
yeah,
Like,
was he the one who was like talked about whether or not you should draft him that year?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, are you ready for some September 18th quick hits?
I believe.
Is it-
you have one more
think
left,
I've got
Sandy.
one I got to
Oh,
get
Right
to.
down the bottom. And I
I'll
did,
get this one for the Colts fans out there like myself. It's a little difficult right now to be a Colts fan, guys, but remember back in 1966, this is my Colts fan voice, guys. Baltimore Colts quarterback Johnny Unitas threw 4 TD passes versus Minnesota to pass Y.A. Tittle as the NFL's career leader in touchdown passes with 212. Unitas finished his career with 290 TDs and was leader until he was passed by Fran Tarkenton in the 1970s. He now sits in 17th place all time behind QBs like Matt Ryan, Carson Palmer, and just ahead of Vinny Testaverde. Good Lord. 17th place, and those guys were in front of you?
I know.
Goodbye.
Colts guy had it.
I appreciate the commit to the
I
bit.
like
Yeah,
You know?
that's the voice I thought would be more of a sports radio, maybe.
It
Intensity.
sounded sort of 60s-ish. Yeah.
Did it go 60s? I was going more just like generally just
Yeah, yeah.
intensity.
Yeah, it's a bit strangled. It sounded a bit like you're thin air. Everest. Sounds
That's
like
it.
you're
That
up
was
on
my-
Everest.
Jake, pass the rope.
Does he have anything left for quick hits?
Quick hits. Let's go, Maddie.
All right. Scrolling. Quick hits! In 1996, Red Sox pitcher Roger Clemens tied his own MLB record by striking out 20 batters in a 9-inning game, leading Boston to a 4-0 win over the Tigers. Clemens had become the first MLB pitcher to accomplish the feat over 10 years earlier in a game versus Seattle.
Nice.
Yes. Quick hit. 2005, Green Bay's Brett Favre became just the third NFL quarterback to reach 50,000 career passing yards during a 26-24 loss to Cleveland at Lambeau Field. As of today, there are 12 QBs who have passed that milestone now in the last 18 years.
Quick hits. In 1992, at the inaugural President's Cup Challenge held at the Robert Trent Jones Golf Club in Gainesville, Virginia, Davis Love III defeated Steve Elkington to help the U.S. team defeat the international team by a cumulative score of 20-12. Love was the Americans' MVP that weekend, going undefeated in all 5 of his match play matchups. The event featured 12 American golfers, 12 international. The honorary chairman of the tournament was former U.S. President Gerald Ford.
Did you say Georgia?
Hope so.
Yeah. It's a different time.
Quick hit! In 1987, during a 7-6 Detroit win over the Brewers at Tiger Stadium, Tigers first baseman Darrell Evans hit his 30th home run of the season off Milwaukee star Bill Wegman. The dinger made Evans the first 40-year-old player in Major League history to hit at least 30 home runs in a season. He led the team with 34 home runs that year, and he finished his career with 414 homers and won his only home run title in 1985 at age 38 when he hit 40 for Detroit. Now, I got to think that more people have done that since.
Well, Bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few people have done it since then, but yeah, he was the first.
Amazing.
1976, quick hit. Hall of Fame outfielder Frank Robinson played his final MLB game in Cleveland today, hitting a pinch hit RBI single against his old team, the Orioles, in the bottom of the 8th before being replaced by a pinch hitter. Robinson was also serving as the team's manager at the time. He started 1977 as just the team's manager, but he got fired a third of the way through that season. Only 7,700 fans saw his final appearance of one of the greatest players ever, and that ties into our draft.
Yes.
Because Frank Robinson, of course, former Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
That will tie in a little later into the program.
Yes.
Also, Frank Robinson, I think perhaps the least regarded sort of inner circle Hall of Fame player. He is, I don't think people realize how great a hitter Frank Robinson was. He does not get mentioned with guys who I don't think that he deserves to get mentioned with.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. In 2016, quick hit. 2016, Detroit's Anquan Bolden caught a TD pass during the Lions' 16-15 loss to Tennessee, joining Terrell Owens as the only 2 players in NFL history to have at least 1,000 career catches and a touchdown reception with 4 different teams. That's an interesting bit of trivia for you.
Yes.
Should we jump into birthdays, friends? Are you done enough quick and hit? We've done enough quick and in the hitting? Quick and in the hitting.
In Georgia?
Yeah. I'm cool with
Gotta
that.
go back and see if I said Georgia.
Yeah. Let's go with a happy birthday, 1956, to Hall of Fame center Peter Stastny.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in Bratislava, Slovakia. Would have been Czechoslovakia back then, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Of course, his brothers Anton and Marion.
Yep.
It's not their birthdays.
No, they were not.
There
Born on
was.
the same day.
I'll tell you though, there was certainly one year, I said this before, where every single pack of hockey cards I opened, I got Marion Stastny.
He was the last Stastny brother to come over.
Yeah, I think that's right.
The
Yes.
first 2 came over,
Yeah.
and then there was so much scrutiny on him
Yeah.
that I believe reading like part of his part of the way he came over was starting renovations on his house.
Marion?
So it would look like, oh, he's definitely staying here.
Okay.
So we're not going to
Yeah.
make them feel comfortable, and that was part of his.
Marion.
Apparently, that was part of the way he.
Well, I've got 100 of his cards at home if you want one. Probably about one Peter.
In the spokes of your bicycle.
Yep. Bike.
1976.
I'll throw in the bike.
1976. Brazilian football great Ronaldo, nicknamed O Fenomeno. O Fenomeno. Going great.
Yes, thank you.
Born
It's
in
good.
Rio de Janeiro, 1976.
You know what?
Keep going. Pretend I didn't do it.
No. You deserve a lot of credit for trying.
I did.
Because I
I
skipped that
wrote
one.
it. When I wrote it, I was like, oh, that's easy. And then saying it is different.
Like, I'll tell you what, happy birthday in 1933 to NHL head coach legend Scotty Bowman in Kirkland Lake, Ontario. Also home of Alan Thicke.
Wow.
Oh. Happy birthday in 1950 to Toronto Maple Leafs legend Daryl Sittler in St. Jacobs, Ontario.
Nice.
1952, NBA and NCAA basketball head coach Rick Pitino, born in New York City.
Happy birthday, 1955 Heisman-winning running back Billy Sims in St. Louis, Missouri.
1959 Pro Bowl Cleveland Browns linebacker Chip Banks in Fort Lawton, Oklahoma.
Nice.
And in 1971, disgraced cycling champion Lance Armstrong, born in Plano, Texas.
Hey, let's cheer him up a bit. 1959 Hall of Fame second baseman Ryne Sandberg in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, all. Although with birthdays also comes deaths, and Matt is going to bring us down.
In 2002, Bullet Bob Hayes, the only man with a Super Bowl ring and an Olympic gold medal, died at age 59 on this day. And if you, there may be an upcoming lost episode where we have another visit from Bob Hayes.
He gets mentioned, yeah.
From the ghost of Bob Hayes.
Yep.
Well, you talked about this Frank Robinson and talking about the Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. So we're now into the fall, and of course we're heading towards the playoffs. And but you know, we're still thought about rookies and Major League Baseball rookies who had great rookie seasons. So we're going to do a draft of great rookie seasons in Major League Baseball, and then we're going to get judged, as usual, always on This Day in Sports by an expert in the field. But we're going to kick off this draft, and I believe I have first pick.
Yes, sir, you do.
Great
rookie seasons in Major League history.
Yeah. And
what would you say is number one of all time, Sam?
Number one of all time. It's a tough choice to go first, but I got to say, I'm just going to pick one that is so important, and I'm going to go with Jackie Robinson.
Sure.
Because, I mean, if we don't have Jackie, we don't have baseball, we don't have the sports we have today. And so I'm going to say that to me is the great rookie season, not just for the numbers, but for the fact that we had Jackie playing. So I'm going to say what year was that? 1940, I'm going to say 7, right?
It was 47, yeah.
Yeah, 1947. Rookie of the Year, Jackie Robinson.
All right. Well, the rest of us will not have as as much impact behind our picks.
Well, I guess I won. One pick.
Yeah, that's it. Good night, everybody. Drive safely. Okay, then I'm going to take, I'm next. In 2001, Albert Pujols, at age 21, he hit 37 home runs, 47 doubles, had 130 RBIs, and 112 runs scored. And he had played just 3 games at AAA and no games at AA before that year.
Wow.
And he was 21. I hit 329. That is sort of absurd. So my pick is Albert in 2001.
And he came up third base, right?
He played some third for a year or two before he moved over there,
Good fielder, good hitter.
I think La Russa was just so eager to get him in the lineup, he didn't care where he played. He was just like...
Absolutely, yeah. But again, I'm saying he's a basher who could still play his position. Like, it was,
he was a pretty good first baseman for a while, too.
Not bad.
Well, I'm going to come right at you, Mike, because sticking with the same year, 2001, I'm going to take Ichiro.
Came right at him.
Not only
I don't even know. I'm dizzy.
Not only Rookie of the Year, but who was Rookie of the Year? Yeah, but MVP. Yeah. MVP.
Yep.
In his rookie season.
Yep. Good pick.
That was the year the Mariners won
101 games. Or
116.
16. Sorry, I don't know why I was in my head, but 116 is absolutely right.
Yep.
And then folded in the playoffs.
That's correct.
But man, that's a good choice, Matt. How old was he as a rookie? What was his
Hey.
Well, no, it's interesting because that is a criteria I used. Is I did like the younger the guy was, the kind of more I thought it was kind of cool too, right? Like,
I don't mean it that way, Matt. I was curious.
It's still a legitimate rookie season, but he was 27, I think.
Yeah. Hey now, hey, was that what I got the answer?
Hey now, hey.
All right, I'm going to follow in your footsteps because this is the first guy to do it. I'll take Fred Lynn. Freddie Lynn, MVP, Rookie of the Year. I mean, and the same season is insane, and that was forever the trivia until Ichiro achieved the same thing. And so I'm going to go with Freddie Lynn. Pretty hard to beat being MVP your first year in the league.
Hey now, hey.
And, And you know what? He's not in the Hall of Fame. Had a great career.
Yes.
I listened to an interview on Lost Ballparks with him. He's a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
He's just a regular dude.
Yeah.
Just like, hey man, how's it going? Like totally great. Tells great stories. Class guy, Freddie Lynn.
Great player. And also that year won a Gold Glove.
Yeah,
not to be underestimated. Yes, thank you. Like that's really hard to do as a rookie.
Yep.
Great pick.
All-Star, Gold Glove, MVP.
The whole deal.
The whole deal.
Okay, my next pick then, we're going to go to 2017. At age 24, Aaron Judge. He hit 52 home runs as a rookie, drove in 128, and led the American League in walks and finished second in MVP voting in his rookie year. slugged .627, 52 homers as a rookie.
So ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
The walks is huge.
The walks
because
is huge, like-
imagine coming into the majors and being able to have that much
A
patience.
422 on base
Yeah.
in your rookie season with
It's so
with
stupid.
ridiculous power.
Yeah,
And
it's
he
so silly.
and he's a good outfielder too.
Yep.
Speaking of good outfielders, I'm going to pick someone who was also the runner-up for MVP in their rookie season, 2012, Mike Trout.
Never heard of
Yep.
him.
No.
Mike Trout.
Tell us more about this.
Also
Mike Trout.
27. All of my guys were 27.
No,
That's what-
he was
No,
20 at the
I'm
time.
joking.
I was gonna say you don't want to be in the 27 club.
No.
You're rock-
Oh, yeah, that's
That's
true.
not a good club to be in.
Yeah, I mean, incredible season, 326, 30 homers, 49 stolen bases in his rookie season, too.
I read that. I was like, you'd think he would have busted his ass in the last week to get to 50.
I
Like,
know.
you know what I mean?
Wouldn't
If
you think?
Like, you'd think he'd be like, fuck it, I don't even care. It doesn't matter if the game's out of hand. I'm going to steal, like, just to get to 50.
Doing the quick math here, my two, between Ichiro and Trout in their rookie seasons, I've got 115 stolen bases. It's pretty incredible.
Well, my next pick didn't steal much so any bases really, but I think it's an incredible feat to be Rookie of the Year as a Yankee and a catcher, age 23, and getting Rookie of the Year basically based on your leadership skills. Thurman Munson in 1970 was Rookie of the Year, and the stats aren't massive. 386 on base percentage, 302 average, 6 homers, 53 RBIs, but his leadership was so strong at age 23 that he won Rookie of the Year, which is insane. And being the Yankees catcher, like that's insane. There's a lot of pressure on you
It's
the whole time.
bonkers.
What year was that?
1970.
That's really good. Okay, for my next one, I'm going to go with a pitcher. 1984, at age 19, Dwight Gooden, 17-9 with a 2.6 ERA. He led the National League in strikeouts. He threw 218 innings, threw 7 complete games, and he led the National League in WHIP. And he allowed just 7 home runs that whole year.
Yeah.
As a 19-year-old, that's ridiculous.
It's
so
completely ridiculous.
I'm taking Dwight Gooden.
All right, I'll stick with pitching. 1976 Detroit, Mark Fidrick.
Yeah.
Bird.
And, he was the runner-up for the Cy Young as well. Just an incredible season, went 19-9 with a 2.34 ERA. And pitched 250 innings in his rookie season, which I think is, I can see a
Cost
lot
him
of that
later,
anymore.
though, didn't it? His arm pretty much fell off.
Yeah. But that for that season, we're just going off that season.
And he was it was a magical season for
It really was.
people. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was like a big deal.
Absolutely, it was huge. Well, personality-wise and everything.
Yeah. He was... All right, last one.
Yeah, this was kind of a tough choice actually. And I know it's more because there's just so many great ones to choose from. And I've got it kind of down to 2.
Okay, let's just wait around for a while. While
So
you
hang
sort
on
that
a
through.
minute. No, you know what? This is a huge accomplishment. We talked about him before because of our draft picks. I got to go Mike Piazza, only because in 1993 he's Rookie of the Year, Silver Slugger, 9th in MVP voting, All-Star, hits 35 homers, 112 RBIs while being a catcher who he had not like a phenomenal season on a regular season, but for being a rookie, again, it goes back to being catcher. Yeah, he gets dogged a bit for his defensive skills as a catcher, but to be that far down in the draft picks to make it all the way up and be Rookie of the Year in 1993, that deserves some credit. And
35 home runs from a catcher.
Yeah,
as a rookie,
112
Yeah.
RBI.
and he played 146 games as catcher too. Like,
yeah,
it's incredible. There's no DH.
no.
He was playing those games at catcher. It's an amazing season.
So I got to give it to Piazza for.
Very good.
I believe that's my final pick.
It is.
Yeah.
1997, age 23, Nomar Garciaparra, 30 home runs, 98 RBIs, 122 runs, 22 steals, 207 hits. He led the American League in hits, plus playing shortstop every day, and a good shortstop for a Red Sox team that was a good team. Nomar is my batted 306, like just an amazing rookie year. 207 hits as a rookie, crazy. And to play a key defensive position like that too, Nomar.
A sensation immediately.
He kind of was, wasn't
Yeah.
Well, this is a tough one. I got last pick. There's so many great picks on here. I'm not going to pick the top ranked guy I have left. I'm going to pick the guy I want to pick, Mark Eichhorn. 1986 with the Jays. He did not win Rookie of the Year, but he went 14-6 with a 1.72 ERA, pitched 157 innings with 166 Ks. He was Rookie of the year. He was the third runner-up. He was the sixth runner-up for the Cy Young, but just an incredible season.
Yeah, He really was that year. He did everything.
How many appearances did he have? What was he again? It was like some insane amount of appearances, wasn't it?
Yeah, he appeared in a ton of games that year.
That was the big thing. Like he pitched a ton. Well, let's see where we land. Let's get judged as usual, even though we've already been judged. Hey, Mike, Aaron Judge. The comedy of the show is it's not great.
Mark Eichhorn that year, 69 games.
There it is. Yeah, I wanted to delay to get to that point.
Apologies to Dick Allen, who many will feel
there's
should have
others
been
too.
Last pick.
Well, I already
Fernando Valenzuela.
Mark McGuire. Nobody took Mark McGuire.
Well, let's not spoil them all because our judge may have them, and I didn't want to be like going. I didn't want to be too much for you guys to go like Jackie Robinson, and then also like go and Larry Doby, and then and for the same reason, you guys, and then be the moral. I don't want to be the moral compass of this show, you guys.
You aren't. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'm not.
No.
Great.
No one.
Anyway, let's not throw any more names out because our judge may have some ideas, and we don't want to spoil that. So let's get judged on our rookie choices.
All right. We're going to get into this hot intro. All right. So our guest judge for this episode has been covering the Toronto Blue Jays since 2017, has been the Blue Jays reporter for MLB.com and the MLB Network since 2019, regularly appearing as a baseball analyst on TSN and Sportsnet, a proud East Coaster from Nova Scotia. Please welcome Keegan Matheson on This Day in Sports.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Keegan, for making the time to go through our draft, which, of course, was best rookie seasons in MLB history. Although we didn't go back to like really early days of baseball, but we kind of had some variation in the years, and you can definitely tell that. You'll eventually see that we're sort of in the pocket of a bunch of decades versus like this guy from 1920 or whatever.
And rather ominously, no Blue Jays picked on this list.
No Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's tough. No Eric cracking the list this year.
No Eric no, he didn't crack.
Real tough.
Matt, you had a bit of a moment there. What was it?
There not one Blue Jay?
Well, there's one Blue Jay.
Oh, there is. Pardon me, I forgot. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt, for doing some loose research. And you're absolutely correct. We have one Blue Jay there, but don't let that be a bias. It can be anything. But yeah, we definitely. And I think what we try to do too is just beyond just randomly picking. I think these are players that we actually obviously love and respect. It's not just random. And we were shocked by actually Keegan when we dove in a few of the rookies that we barely ever heard of again or had flash in the pan seasons as well. So it's your choice how you want to judge this in any way. But maybe we'll just dive in. And look at some of these names. Which ones right away are you like, yeah, that's a lock? That's a pretty easy choice to make.
Ichiro right away. I love that. Ichiro's rookie season is probably one of my favorite baseball seasons, because the hype that you get with these incredible players, whether it's a player coming over from Japan, from Korea, there's always a lot of hype. There's sometimes the mystery and intrigue. Do they have a pitch we have never seen before? My brain's ringing with Dice K and the gyro ball. And it's that level of mystery is always amazing. And Ichiro on that team as well. That was such an incredible team, that Mariners team. Ichiro, Mike Trout, that's about as good as it gets. I'm a huge Dwight Gooden fan. I love a pitcher like that who would fit in current MLB. Like you look at his rookie year, his debut he had just before that ridiculous season he had. What was the big one? 85.
Yeah,
and Dwight Gooden was 19 when he debuted. One thing I thought, guys, when I was looking at all this was how much player development has changed. In my job, I'm beaten over the head with these 12-syllable words about player development, like they're trying to land something on Mars.
Yep.
And many of these players are a snapshot into a simpler time where I wish I was covering baseball, where it was just a little closer to, hey, that guy's good enough and he's old enough, play in the big leagues. Let's not break it down too much. And I love that. There's some great names on this.
Yeah, and also those pitchers, those rookie pitchers pitching over 200 innings. You're not going to see much of that.
Never again. Never, ever again.
And just fact checking on this now, who's uncle? Gary Sheffield or Dwight Gooden? What's the pattern there? Who's the one of them? Is that right? Is that the one it is?
Yeah, I think he's Dwight Gooden's uncle.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Sheffield is, I think so.
Dwight Gooden, uncle of Gary Sheffield.
That's it. Isn't that bonkers?
There we go. Bonkers. I didn't know that either. So here we are.
They should have
Fan of the community.
Always, every time he came to bat, they should have. Oh, well, I guess didn't bat that much, but
no. Imagine. Yeah, you're right. Like, think of a rookie. He pitched 7 complete games at 19. Like, the idea of doing that, it's preposterous now.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. Like you said, that's never gonna happen again. There's no chance.
No.
So okay, we did actually have, we were saying, because the Blue Jays, that is of course Icorn. And do you remember those? We were saying that the amount of times that he pitched that year too. I mean, even him being a rookie as a relief guy, he pitched a ton of. Mike, I think you looked it up. Was 62 games he appeared in, or something like that?
69, yeah, 69 games, 14 wins and 10 saves. Pretty incredible.
And that is, again, a rookie season, and they trusted him pretty quick.
Yeah.
So those are a few of the ones that jump out right away. Any of the, I don't suppose any of the list, I don't know if there's anyone that you were surprised. You might have been even surprised by Icorn, I don't know, but is there anyone else that you were surprised in this list, or is it pretty much?
You know what? I feel like we don't talk about Mark Icorn's season enough, and it even surprised me. I mean, the Blue Jays are my job, and that's a season where, even going back, guys, to the pandemic, I had no baseball to write about, and they had to do something with me. So we ended up writing a lot of throwback lists, great seasons, and Mark Icorn's kept coming up. And that year, I think he was 155, 157 innings, like ridiculous, stupid. And I think the season after that, he was up to 85, 90 appearances. Right. It's just that low kind of slingshot sidearm that you don't see anymore. And then the one I'd forgotten about was Mark Fidrych. Like, coming in, he was done at 25, I think. He had a knee injury. I think he had the shoulder. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but his shoulder blew out.
Yeah.
But yeah, but so amazing early on with Detroit, and such a character too. Like, when we were looking over the lists, I looked up some Mark Fidrych highlights just to see what he looked like. And I had forgotten that he was the guy who would get down on his hands and knees and manicure the mound before his outings. Yeah. So baseball players used to be stranger. I wish I covered the weird baseball players of the 70s and 80s. Now they grow up in those high performance programs now. I think it beats the weird out of you, but some great videos of him manicuring the dirt on the mound.
Yeah.
I do agree. Some of those characters, yeah, it's right. If you could just be a little bit let loose. I mean, it was enough in when like Turk Wendell played. It was like, he's jumping over the line. No, that's his tradition. He always never goes to the line, never walks on the line. It's like, that was enough to be like, oh my goodness, he's out of it. He's out of his mind. This guy. It's like, it's not really the same.
David Schneider is the current Jays eccentric because he has a mustache.
Yeah. It's crazy as it gets.
A wacky one.
Get excited just seeing Kimbrel go into his bird stance.
Is it Rube Waddell that would way back would chase a fire truck, or the other team would hold up shiny objects, and that was enough to distract him completely, or they'd hold little toys up and he just wanted the toy so badly, or just want to get through the inning and get to that toy, or
I just think of how fun it would be to write a story about that. Instead of a 22-year-old guy telling me how hard he works. Hey, I've got to fill pages, but I don't care. Come on, give me something weird like that. I love those things.
Yeah. Be a lot better.
Well, so that's and of course, with Fidrych, it's like every time you saw the Big Bird. So almost half the images you find when you Google him is him and Big Bird side by side back to that, whatever it is that they had to really wanted to point that one out. More currently, we had Aaron Judge in there. I guess I still consider that's the Pujols era, but Judge certainly an insane rookie season. And as Mike pointed out, he not only was crushing the ball, he was right away a good fielder as well, which is unusual for a guy that size. And I'm thinking back size wise, I'm thinking back to guys like Frank Howard, who were 6'6", 6'7", that kind of height, and they were not good fielders as far as range went. Terrible, but bit of an arm too, but that's an unusual combination too.
Yeah, and he gave Jose Altuve a run that year for MVP. I mean, my goodness, and that was there was something if you're a Blue Jays fan, something so crushing about Aaron Judge arriving. You know, it's this big. I think he was 25 when he was a rookie. He was an older rookie, and he was a bit of a later bloomer. And you think, yeah, maybe this guy hits for power. But guys like Aaron Judge, when I see Aaron Judge, if I'm talking about a prospect, if the Blue Jays have a power hitting prospect who is 6'7", and I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm bigger than most players. Aaron Judge makes me feel like a doll. I reach out to shake his hand, and I feel like an idiot. I feel so small. But if the Blue Jays had an Aaron Judge prospect, I'd say, cool, he hits the ball hard. But when you're that big, with a swing that big, pitchers are going to find holes in it. You're going to strike out 10,000 times. But, man, Aaron Judge can hit, huge arm in the outfield. I like watching him play the outfield when he's healthy. And 52 homers. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
And I wish he's a guy that would stay healthy because I love seeing peak Aaron Judge. But that's an all-timer. That's a real all-time rookie season.
Yeah. And I believe in that rookie season, we'll have to check the math, but I think he hit 37 of those home runs against Toronto that year, too. We'll have to check. But as I recall, it seemed like
we'll fact check that one real quick.
Yeah. Scotty research is our thing, but
speaking of, a lot of these guys did this, of course, but on that same team with Judge as he was drafted, Pujols landing and completely crushing immediately, being a consistent guy that, as Mike was saying, Tony La Russa just had to figure out a good way to get him to line up third base when he started, and didn't matter where he played in the field as long as he was batting.
Yeah, Pujols' numbers, he came in as such a grown man just immediately. And I'm looking at the MVP voting there that year where he finished fourth, but behind Barry Bonds, who had a 1.379 OPS. Like, what were we doing? But Pujols with Sammy Sosa and Luis Gonzalez were all pretty close. You could call them a tie on that podium, really close. And Pujols is such an incredible player. But even when you watch rookie clips, and I think I've seen some of these lately just because of the montages that we're always showing about the end of Pujols' career, he looked like a grown man immediately. Like he looked like he was a 35-year-old waiver claim DH stepping onto the field. I'm looking at this now, like a 403 on base percentage is a rookie. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah, some guys are going to hit for power, but his on base, you hit 37 homers, 130 RBI is just a foolish season, doing that at 21. And for that team in that city where you need to perform or else they might not like you, that's a hell of a rookie.
That's I noticed. I was going to say the point about him showing up like a man. It's like in the NBA when LeBron showed up. It was like, this is a man showing up to play. Yeah. And he's a rookie.
I noticed too with Pujols, the thing when we were digging through it is that Pujols played 3 games in AAA and none in AA before doing that too. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Well,
but he did
different time. He's ready.
Yeah.
If you're talking about someone that showed up, and I'm with Pujols, it's like you're showing up and you've got to be mature immediately. We were talking about this earlier, was like Thurman Munson gets Rookie of the Year and basically gets that not fully on numbers, perhaps the numbers are good, but leadership immediately. And then playing for the Yankees on top of that, the pressure of that in the early 70s is a pretty incredible thing too, just based on more the character of the person maybe than just his numbers.
It's amazing. I'm looking at the Rookie of the Year voting. He got 23 of 24. Roy Foster got 1 vote. Somebody wanted attention that day. I don't know. It's how these voting things goes. If there's one person on the outside, it's they typically want their name to be said for a day or two. But man, when you do that on the Yankees, especially, I mean, voting for awards. I think that's another thing I was thinking of looking at these names. When you look back through voting on player awards, you can tell when writers started considering analytics or considering more than RBIs and pitcher wins, because there's some crazy ones going back. But Munson was an obvious choice. You're hitting 302 over 132 games with the Yankees. You've got an incredible mustache. It's a almost handlebar. I think it's a short handlebar there. But man, oh man, there's a reason that people in New York love this guy. And Thurman Munson, when you're talking about rookie catchers, I mean, that bar is super low, like real low.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you look at what's, related to the Blue Jays, what Gabriel Moreno is doing this year in Arizona. I know Jays fans don't want to hear about it, but even that's ridiculous. A high 700 OPS while being a catcher. But hitting 302, 801 OPS. And I'm going to look at what he did against the run game, if they even have that. I don't know if it goes back then, but oh yeah, like completely controlled the running game, dominated that. That's for a young catcher. At how old would he have been here? 23. You don't see catchers break through like that. That's why you see most of them break through in a timeshare now.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt he had a rocket for an arm as soon as he landed there. And we were talking about this because, of course, one of the most famous MVP votings that was just weird was 1967 when Yaz had this giant year. And he gets 19 first place votes, but Cesar Tovar gets 1 vote from a writer in Minneapolis who thinks because he played a bunch of different positions, he's got to take him in first place and has to live with that for the rest of his life that he did that vote. But, it's what you said. It's like everyone said, does that guy just want attention? Does he just want to be like, no, I know baseball. It's not just that I'm local. It's I know when you play a bunch of positions, that's more important than this giant year he has had. And
especially when you get into Hall of Fame stuff it turns into that's why I don't love voting. I'm always nervous when I'm voting for an award each year, whether it's pitcher. I'm nervous about being that one guy. Last year I was the one guy who voted Kevin Gausman in my top 5 Cy Young. So, and I take that seriously. I don't want to be biased for players I see. I just literally think Kevin Gausman deserved to be top 5. And now when you look on his baseball reference page, you see that little CYA-9 or 10. I guess I'm that one dude that sticks him with that, but it's you usually don't want to be alone. I felt okay about that one, but normally you don't want to be on an island.
Not to continue this 67 obsession I have, but just if you look at WAR alone, Yastrzemski's was 12.4, Tovar's was 2.4. And look at all the other numbers.
Oh boy,
that vote was terrible. That's a terrible vote. But hey, we're still talking about it, or at least I'm still talking about it.
Yeah, somebody is.
Somebody is. All right, a few names we haven't mentioned already should get to for sure. Jackie Robinson. Pretty hard to go against the importance of that rookie season. Fred Lynn we talked about because of MVP and Rookie of the Year. It took a while for someone else to do that, but that was, of course, Ichiro who did it. But that was the one that stood for a long time. Piazza, of course, a catcher who could certainly. We were talking about late draft picks a long time, a few episodes ago, anyways, a few episodes back, and just saying like that draft pick and then have that rookie season at catcher. Maybe not the best defensive catcher as we keep saying, but offensively amazing.
62nd round.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
And what was that game? That Nintendo 64 game growing up? Mike Piazza's Strike Zone. Was a favorite growing up. That was a good one. It was kind of arcadey. You would use steel bats. Mike Piazza's Strike Zone. That was my jam growing up.
Yeah.
But, I couldn't believe that Piazza was still playing in 2007.
Yeah.
Played till he was 38. He feels further away than that. But man, those numbers. I didn't remember his numbers as good as they were. 40 homer seasons, a few seasons over 1,000 OPS. Like, man, oh man.
And as we said last night too, and none of that as a DH either, because he was in the National League, so he was playing every day. No layup days.
That always surprised me that he didn't finish off his career as a DH go to the American League somewhere. I just felt like just because everyone kind of looked at his position. There's not many people who talk about his defensive game, And yet, if you get like that, they'll put you in the lineup anywhere.
Yeah.
Is Nomar the only one we have mentioned so far? I feel like Nomar is one last guy.
I think so.
Yeah. We were saying
Nomar was big for me growing up because growing up in Nova Scotia, we got a lot of Red Sox, Patriots. You get the New England local coverage. It drove me nuts growing up because I'm a big football fan and Packers fan. And you would turn on cable on Sunday and there'd be 9 games on and 8 of them would be the Patriots. And I've had enough of that. But it's but it means there's a lot of Boston sports fans, the Bruins as well out east. And Nomar was one of my guys growing up. Playing Little League, you'd be, pretending to do the dumb stuff with the gloves. Mo Vaughn was my favorite player growing up. I was the biggest Mo Vaughn fan in the world. I think he might be the perfect baseball player just to see and I modeled my game after him immediately. I don't even know if I had a glove when I went to the field.
He's a big dude too. It's perfect. He's a big dude, it's good.
Huge dude. He mashed. Love that dude. But Nomar was awesome, man. You look at that rookie season here, hitting 306, 875 OPS, 30 homers, 22 steals, 11 triples, man. And doing that again, it impresses me more when a guy does this in New York or Boston, because folks there, media there, especially 20, 25 years ago, before media began nosediving, it was not a forgiving place to play. Man, oh man. And that pressure on a 22, 23-year-old is a legit thing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, he really captured the media's imagination or attention. Being on SNL, that kind of thing. They were doing sketches about him. I don't know if it was his rookie season or after that, but they certainly embraced him there.
That's a guy who certainly injuries took him off the Hall of Fame trajectory. You had to feel like his first 4 or 5 years, you thought, oh my gosh, this guy's going to be an all-time player.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, up till he was 30. You're looking at a guy 920 OPS up till he's 30. Playing in Boston helps. I mean, my God, he was just such a perfectly Boston player. It's kind of greasy, gritty. The name that brings out the Boston accent really bad. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Absolute truth. And I'll just, I guess the person who's certainly, you're talking about Mo Vaughn, still remembers Mo Vaughn as Albert Bell from 1995. Which is another controversial
bad MVP votes.
Yeah, another controversial vote.
Yeah, not great.
It's let's make this guy more angry. The guy hits 50 home runs or 50 doubles and is second place in MVP voting. But we don't need to get into that. We don't.
No.
So just maybe there's a couple names that you're surprised weren't drafted. I'm sure we thought of most, but maybe there's some that you think that were why wouldn't you draft? Who do you think is missing from these lists that you're a favorite of?
I'm trying to think of going through more recent modern guys. And one thing I've noticed too recently is a lot of rookies now are coming up midway through the season. And when I'm voting on Rookie of the Year, I'm trying to guess, is 90 games enough? Is 100 innings from a pitcher enough? I think about Pete Alonso. Big
53 home runs,
53 homers, Pete Alonso. I'm looking back through one of our lists at MLB.com. Jose Abreu is another guy who kind of showed up a bit older because he was coming out of Cuba, but a guy who immediately just went wild. Fernando Valenzuela, another great one with the Dodgers, Fernando Mania, what all that brought. Shohei is part of that. Ryan Braun, Corey Seager are a couple that we have on our list there. Yeah, Seager's was ridiculous. Ryan Braun's was amazing. Back before he took a bit of a nosedive himself. There's been some amazing ones, but it's going back far. You definitely see that it was more common to give guys a full year because so many guys now are coming up, kind of like even like Bo and Vladdy did mid-season. You might not be getting a full counting stat year.
Yeah, and that was some of that is service time manipulation too, right?
Yeah.
From ownership.
Oh yeah.
So, they don't want to pay those guys until they have to. So, they finagle it until he won't count or whatever. Although I think they've taken some steps to get rid of that, right?
They have. There are some steps to reward teams now if they're promoting a guy who has some success. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of magical dates on the calendar where a guy is suddenly ready for the big leagues. Yeah. And it always tends to coincide with when he becomes cheaper. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Funny how that goes.
Did anyone else consider Corbin Carroll? Think about going for the most recent? I thought about it with a pick, but couldn't pull the trigger.
And pitchers are hard too. Pitchers are hard. Jose Fernandez is a recent pitcher, but I'm trying to think of pitchers that are recent. Kerry Wood might be another interesting one, but those are hard to find. The pitchers
really hard.
I was trying to look through the list a lot too, just as an interesting thing going. Okay. What year did both leagues have a rookie that has continued to be great, or and yet Ohtani and Acuna in the same year, which is obviously amazing.
And 2010 was Trout and Harper are the same year too, I think.
2012. Yeah, Trout and Harper same year. They paid off immediately, and then we were just looking at stuff like Well, you have, what was the one that was it? Was it Jennings? We saw Scott Williamson. Yeah, Jason Jennings and Eric Hensky in one year. That was 2002. There's an interesting one.
Studded.
Woo! Big year.
So they don't always get it right, and you get it right the one year. Right? You never know what's going to go. Okay, so hey, let's jump in and get to our final judgment. We have these three teams of these rookies lined up. And while you think, I'll just quickly review. Team 1 was Jackie Robinson, Fred Lynn, Thurman Munson, Mike Piazza. Team 2 was Pujols, Judge, Gooden, Noma. And Team 3 was Ichiro, Trout, Fidrych, and Eichhorn. So which team of these three did you think was our winner of this draft?
Can I give you a best team and a favorite team?
Sure.
You're great. You can do whatever you want.
All right. If we invented a version of four-man baseball, I don't know how this works, but let's picture we invent a field size where four men can play. I think that looking at that, I like Albert Pujols, Aaron Judge, Dwight Gooden, and Nomar.
Yeah.
I think Pujols' rookie year, ridiculous. Aaron Judge hits 52 home runs, foolish. Nomar is a player that I think I've lost track of how good he was as a young guy. I think his overall career, I look at him as a very good player, but he was an elite shortstop. One of the best players on the planet for a few years. And then Dwight Gooden, my goodness, doing that, a 2.60 ERA, over 200 innings, 11.4 strikeouts per nine. That's not how guys pitched back then either. That would fit right in 2023, chasing strikeouts, real high-end stuff. So I think that team wins our Bizarro tournament. My favorite team is Ichiro, Trout, Fidrych, and Eichhorn, because Ichiro, that was very much 2001. I would have been in the height of my baseball fandom. I love Ichiro. He's the guy that you would, put cheats on your video game to trade for. Obsessed with Ichiro as a kid. Mike Trout's rookie year was incredible. You immediately saw this five-tool player, and you were so certain that you were watching a generational tool talent. But then the oddball elite seasons, like Fidrych, a guy who only played to 25 and was a little weird with a 2.34 ERA, and then Mark Eichhorn. Mark Eichhorn is still one of my favorite seasons in baseball. You look back at a guy throwing 157 relief innings and finishing sixth in Cy Young Award voting, third in AL Rookie of the Year. I need to look at who won that rookie. Jose Canseco won that Rookie of the Year vote.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. And then with him in the Cy Young, Roger Clemens, Teddy Higuera, Mike Witt, Dave Righetti, Jack Morris. Mark Eichhorn got 2 votes. But that's one of the coolest seasons ever. Mm-hmm. I would love to see, I love submariners. He could not have been throwing more than 70 on most of these pitches. But there's a couple old videos of Eichhorn kicking around, and hitters look so uncomfortable. They look like they have no idea what they're looking at. It's like you gave him a different baseball than everybody else. It's so cool. So that's the team I would buy the jersey of. Let's go with that.
Well, I definitely think that your choice of the weird 4-person tournament team of this is Mike's team, by the way, the champion.
All right.
Pujols, Judge, Gooden. That's more for Mike Piazza baseball, the video game, versus the team that Mike Piazza is actually on, I guess, and with the Bizarro team. And it's crazy how a guy dying young and a person breaking the color barrier wasn't enough for you to pick him, Keegan. I know it's fine, you, but that might have been my team.
We've got a hater. Oh,
yes,
what more do they need to do for you? What more do they need to do?
It is. That's tough. That's tough. Mike Piazza. Okay. Thurman Munson. I guess I don't value the intangibles of Thurman Munson enough here. I'm not putting enough respect on admittedly the 2-catcher build made it a bit tough in a 4-man game.
Thank you. That's true. I don't have a pitcher either. I don't have a pitcher who's going to throw this thing. No pitching.
Exactly. It's Piazza's on the mound.
We had to cast Thurman Munson in a previous draft. Do you remember who won the casting of Thurman Munson?
We did. What's his nuts? It looks like Peyton Manning. What's his name? He's in.
Whiplash.
Yeah. We got to get there. Guys, let's work together. Who did we cast as Thurman Muncie? Because it's good casting. But do we have him?
I did Jesse Plemons, and I didn't.
I had Woody Harrelson, but I don't think he won.
No, Woody Harrelson did not win. This was a pretty good casting, actually.
Oh, Miles Teller? Was it
Miles Teller? That's the answer.
Okay.
Miles Teller. Because I think maybe his mustache from Top Gun, that image alone sealed it. But yeah, we had Reed Diamond on the show, who played Mark Shapiro in Moneyball. He was on to judge that one, and he took
Mark Shapiro's favorite movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what that's what we've been talking about. Let's take this to a sidebar for a minute.
Yeah.
We've been telling Reed Diamond, who played Mark Shapiro in Moneyball, that he should be contacting the Blue Jays and meet up with Shapiro just for a photo op.
Because he lives in Toronto.
Yeah. He thinks it would go really badly. We think it would go well. What do you think?
Oh, good question. The sense I get, and from reading a couple interviews with Mark over the years, is that the portrayal of him in the movie may not have been, one he agreed with 100%. But as long as it's under the guise of, hey, this is funny, I think that's a great. That's a great one. Yeah,
they want the photo op.
And the Blue Jays social team. Come on, that would pop off. We need some sort of anniversary of the movie coming out or something.
Yeah, he lives in Cabbagetown. This has to happen.
Well, we're going to work on that. We're going to convince Reed to do this at some point.
I love it.
Okay, well, we're going to keep asking everyone that's associated with the Blue Jays their opinion on this, and then we'll have all these collected. We'll put them in a supercut, give them to Reed, and then he can make those decisions based on some informed opinions.
Love it.
Keegan, thanks so much for being on This Day in Sports. We'll definitely want to have you back again and talk some more Blue Jays, maybe more specifically, or just generally baseball.
Absolutely. Anytime at all, guys. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Keegan, very much.
Well, that was fantastic.
That was fantastic.
That was good. I mean, there are so many other names that we could have got to. We already were sort of talking about, and could have talked about all those rookie performances. And like you brought up Eichhorn in there, and I think you didn't have to win Rookie of the Year to have a fantastic season. Because some years there's 5 guys who could have won it.
And some years the guy who wins, it's just an off year for rookies, and you look back and you're like, really?
Who's that guy? Yeah.
Andrew Bailey was Rookie of the Year.
I remember we were doing the Cy Youngs, and as Dean Chance, that was at the year that were just they're these anomalies. Like the one season they win this, have a huge year.
Bobby Crosby is Rookie of the Year.
Good example. Good example. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, that was a great episode. We talked a lot about a lot of baseball. You never know what sports we're going to get into and what weird facts are going to come up. But this has been This Day in Sports for September 18th. I'm Sandy Jobin Bevins.
I'm Matt Kippen.
I'm Mike Shera.
And that's Frank. And we'll see you soon.
He can't talk.
He can't talk.